we are back. Is this number 7?
I think so.
7. Ooh, 7 horror stories. Uh-oh, read into that all you want. So we are back for a horrific. Thank you, Miss Audrey Wilson Youngblood, for that really awesome pun. I needed it. But tonight is going to be a huge scream with all of our paranormal, horror, gruesome, zombie, everything that you can think of all in one. I am Misty Shea. I am the list librarian at Central High School in Keller ISD, and I have some amazing librarians with me.
Hey, I'm Lauren Stetler. I'm the librarian at Keller Middle School.
And I am Carrie Harris, librarian at Hillwood Middle School. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here again for episode 7. I was really excited to see some of our tweets retweeted by people I didn't even know. Maybe we'll be famous. It's going to be amazing.
I don't need to be famous. I just want people reading these books. So if fame leads to people reading, that's my happy place.
Yeah, these are really good ones tonight. Some really good ones. So like Misty said, we have some horror books and lots of conversations about what would be horrific for me isn't horrific for everyone. So started us off with some pretty good scary ones. And we ended with some that are just like scary, just scary. Y'all want to go ahead and start? Oh, Audrey has to tell us something amazing first.
I do. I was just telling the ladies in the chat. I cannot see the chat in my view. I'm working on that currently, but you should be able to chat with us tonight. And please, please, please talk with us in the chat and YouTube. So I'm going to work on getting that enabled. And then if you cannot see it, I'll give the ladies a heads up when that should be viewable. If you cannot see it, you're just going to click on your profile icon in the upper right hand corner and then click create channel. Then you should be able to chat. So hang tight, get ready to introduce yourselves and enjoy some awesome book recs.
All right, let's get started with one of the, wrong slide. That was weird. It skipped right to the second one.
It's haunted.
Why is it skipping it? I guess I put myself first. I'm first. Did you know I was first? Yay, me. Okay, so I picked this author more than I picked one book because every time a kid comes to the library and wants a scary book, I always ask them, how about creepy, ghosty, scary? And they usually are okay with that. And all of her books are creepy, ghosty, scary. So I want to talk about Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall. And I'm going to just mention the other 3, but these are the 4 books Bad Girls Don't Die is a series. So there's more that she's written, but these are the 4 stories that she's written. So Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall, think of The Haunting of Hill House. Because in this one, the house is evil, just like in that show, spoiler alert. So the really cool thing is that in this particular story, she and her parents are coming together to take this, what used to be an institution for insane girls of its time back in the 1800s. And, women weren't really insane when they put them there. They just put them there when they couldn't explain what they were doing. They weren't necessarily criminally insane. They're taking over this house to make a bed and breakfast. And when she moves in with her parents, she already senses a strange kind of weird feeling about it, like she's being watched. And she's right in the sense that when she gets in there, the very first night that she's there, she feels like something has pushed her out of her window and she is killed. And that's at the first section of the book. I didn't do a spoiler on that one. What has happened after she dies is she starts to see all these other young women who were also killed on premises. And they are there to tell her, it's the house. It wants to keep us. It will not let us go, ever. And so she's trying so hard to escape this house. She sits there. She has to watch her parents and her sister grieve after she dies. She can't talk to them. They end up eventually moving on, and other people come into the house. And she's just trying so hard and desperately to save anybody else that's coming in. And yeah, it's a great story. There's a lot of really good interludes in the middle of it all. Like in the middle of a few chapters, she'll say like things I knew after the fact, so she's telling the story and then she's like, I wish I had done this more when I was alive, kind of in between it all. So that's kind of fun. But it's a really creepy story with the house that's actually the haunting. Bad girls don't die. Sister is possessed. Marie Antoinette serial killer. Marie Antoinette's ghost is going around chopping the heads off of everyone who is an ancestor of the people who also beheaded her in the revolution. And famous last words is someone's recreating famous movie murder mysteries or movie murders, sorry. And it's a mystery to see who it is. And she is actually seeing the ghost. You can see a little bit in the cover that there's a ghost and something in her pool that's like haunting her. So yeah, there's some really interesting books by Katie Allender. And I once tried to get her to come to Yak Fest and to have some more, like a Skype or something, because the kids love her book so much. And she said, I'm not at this time doing any interviews. It's almost like that's just not as important to her as writing books. So I'd like to try to get a hold of her again just to see if it's still the same way. But yes, really good series. Have y'all read any of those?
I read Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall.
Yeah, I've read Hysteria Hall. And I do know, I think I have most of the books in the library just because, like you said, when someone wants something like scary, I have to go, okay, remember, we're in a high school, this is YA, but I can give you creepy and weird and,
Audrey said the chat is up. She said, I beat YouTube.
Of course you did, Audrey. You're a genius.
Of course, on my end, I can't see the chat, but anyway, we'll see if I can figure it out later. Okay. So any other comments on that? Let's go to the next book, which is...
I have been wanting to read Marie Antoinette Serial Killer. It's one of those that I keep seeing on the shelf, and yet I just don't have time to grab it. I'm like, oh, but I got to come back to it.
That was the first one of hers that I read.
I bet if I reread The Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall, which I do, I know some people read a book and they never touch it again. I can reread over and over. So maybe I'll just do like a binge of all of her books. I do that sometimes.
They're good. They're worth reading. Let's see. We have next, one of the good covers of the night. Go for it, Misty.
So Anna Dressed in Blood. And like I said, so YA horror, it's not like the movies are getting so real these days. And so I don't even know, you can't even tell, fantasy from realism. And so to me, the movies these days are frightening, so terrifying that I've almost put off anything that has to do with possession in a movie. I will not watch it. The Ring, after The Ring, I can't watch movies that are horror. I take it home with me and I stare at the shadow on my wall and I can never sleep. So I really was like, okay, this sounds creepy. It's going to be one of those just creeptastic YA. No, this one actually was really, I don't want to chalk it up to being super scariest book I've ever read. It wasn't, because I've read some Japanese horror that it was actually horrifying, but this one was up there. It was pretty scary. So you have Cass and he essentially is a ghost hunter. And that's something that was passed down from his father. And he found out really early on in the book that his father has recently died from a ghost attack. So he gets handed down this blade that is capable of killing ghosts. So the very first chapter, he's on a ghost hunt. So it's very action-packed, and you're getting that ghost, just ghost after another. And so he is in a network. So think Supernatural, if you've ever seen that show. There's a network of people who tell each other okay, you want to go to this city, it has this ghost, and this ghost is killing. So he hears about Anna. She is a girl that is from this town who supposedly anytime you go near this house, people are gruesomely torn apart. Their bodies are torn in half, their limbs are torn off, and you never hear them again. And of course, the town can't explain it. So no one knows they're missing people. So if anyone goes near this house, they are torn to shreds and their bodies are taken into the house and never seen again. And so of course, Kaz is okay, I need to go take care of this ghost. So he goes to this town, joins high school so he can learn as much as he can about it. And of course you get this group, and he even hates it because he's all these kids want to help out now because they're kind of involved, and he's we are not the Ghostbusters. And so you have all these funny quirky references, but then you get this creepy ghost, and then her backstory, and then some voodoo and some craziness and witchcraft, and you put all of it together and it is one mixture for some crazy scary stuff. The author did leave it kind of open at the end, so I'm hoping. I think she actually is in the process of writing a new book. Book 2 is either just came out or it's about to.
Wait, are you no, it came out.
Yeah. So I'm really eager to read that second one because I want to know what happens with Anna. And I like Kaz. Like, I just like his personality and his little band of merry thieves, but not really, but his little tribe of Ghostbusters. I just like each of their little personalities. So
I'll tell you something in Goodreads. Somebody had asked her a question about if she's going to do a third one in the series. And she said she didn't plan on it, but if Kaz comes to her, she may have to. She goes, because if Kaz comes knocking on my door, it's going to be important.
Oh my gosh. Maybe she's haunted. Maybe a ghost is telling her of his past life.
I don't know. After I read all her stuff on Goodreads,
Right,
I had to go
such
follow
scary
her on
stuff.
Twitter too, because I thought she was funny.
So maybe that's her.
Well, let me show you these other books and see. I don't know, Misty or Lauren, have y'all read any of these other books?
I have read Three Dark Crowns, definitely fantasy. And it's so triplets are born in the royal line, but they never just get to be siblings. They end up having to fight each other to the death to take the crown. And it's super dark book, but definitely doesn't go in the direction you think it will. It was very well done.
And it's really highly rated. And same thing, I almost chose, because I thought, oh, everyone's read Anna Dressed in Blood. It's been so popular. I almost chose Slasher Girls and Monster Boys just because it got such amazing reviews. It's actually I put it as a 2 read on my Goodreads because it really is. And honestly, because of those two, I just can't see Anti-Goddess being that, like, it has to be decent. You know what I mean? Usually, I mean, unless it was just like, she wrote it as a side note, but I just don't see it. So I bet it's good.
My kids about Anti-Goddess is I tell them, if you liked Percy Jackson, this is more like the grown-up version. Like, that's how I kind of explain that one. So that
Good,
was,
you know how many kids come in asking, what can I read? I just read Percy and I love it. So thank you.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I've been wanting to read Slasher. That one is pretty new, is it not? And there are some amazing authors in that list. But I thought, no, I want to read like a full novel instead of just short stories for this. So I was like, no. But that
Did y'all see Jay Kristoff's name is on that. It's kind of small, but you can see it written down there.
Ooh,
So I'm going to have to try it. But yeah, no, this book was about, I think it's less than 2 years old. It's not incredibly new, but it's not like brand new. But yeah, my big thing right now are short story collections, and I'm going to be definitely reading these and taking some notes.
And Miss Audrey said that if you cannot see your chat, please make sure you refresh. It could just be like once she fixed it, it's not showing up. So if you do not see the chat tonight, just try to refresh.
Okay, next book is Screaming Staircase.
Screaming Staircase. Okay, this one was actually a Battle of the Books book this year for middle school, and I was pleasantly surprised at how creepy this one was. So there is, the world it has like an epidemic of spirits and ghosts who are haunting. And so a bunch of businesses have cropped up that are like ghost hunting businesses, and that's like a big deal right now. And so Lucy comes to London wanting to make a name for herself, but she ends up joining like the smallest ghost hunting group there. And they're really hard up for money. So they are, trying to look for different ways to get the really big cases coming in. And so they end up having to take on the most haunted house in London. And it gets really dangerous. There are the creepiest rooms. I don't know, I know, Carrie, you've read this one, but I'm thinking of the blood room and then the monks. Oh, it's so scary. I was really scared about this one. It was one of those that you read and you just kind of like got little goosebumps trying to read it. It was really
That's a pretty long series, isn't it? Aren't there like 5 or 6 books?
Yes, there's like 5 or 6 of them.
My favorite part was when he was just, there's this one ghost in there that he comes across, or she, I guess, but all of them come across, and it's almost like they didn't know she was going to be there, but they're describing her, and they're describing her. He looks down at her feet, and her toenails are curled under. I mean, like, the descriptions are just so creepy and awful. But my other favorite part of this book is the relationship between the 3 ghost hunters. They're hilarious. There's like the main guy, and then there's the girl and the other sidekick guy who they hate each other, but they don't hate each other, but you know, they're nice, but oh my God, she just keeps talking about how much she wants to just slap him. And it's hilarious. Their banter back and forth makes it worth it.
In the chat, it said Diana has read this one, and as a non-horror reader, she was able to handle this one. I don't know. It's pretty creepy. I loved how much description there was about their surroundings. And it wasn't just, oh, and this looked like that. No, it was purposeful. Like it really set so that way you could understand why it was just so terrifying.
Well, the sad thing is I tried to find some other books by him, and all he's written is the Bartimaeus trilogy, something like that, which is completely fantasy. But I thought he really hit a home run with this part. He's from England, and so the characters are as well, and they have some of that. You can tell just in the way that they're talking that they're from England. But yeah, I was sad that he didn't have any other ones out because
that is one that I had. One of my our GTT teacher at my school. He is part of our teacher team for Battle of the Books. And so he was like, all right, give me a book to read. So I sent this one down. He immediately hopped on Amazon when he finished it and bought the whole set for his GTT classroom just to have on the shelf. I was like, that's awesome. I loved it.
Okay. All right, let's see what else we have here tonight. We have, this book. I just came across it. I was like, all right, I got to read horror. And I have a really hard time. I love reading like scary books. That's my thing. But I don't like incredibly evil. I can't get to the evil, horrible stuff. It's more like I can handle monsters. I can handle zombies. I can handle, you know, vampires, all that stuff. I can do it. But if it's like deep evil in your mind, I can't. I started reading one, and I got about 4 chapters in and I was so creeped out and I just felt ooky. I had to move on. So I found another one and it's called Murder Trending. And I guess if I had to pick something that it was like, I was so I had never heard of this book before. And then I found this. So picture, picture, I guess I can say kind of like Hunger Games, but also mix that with The Purge. And then throw in, what's the name of that movie that kind of makes fun of all the slasher films? Scream. Yeah, throw in Scream, because it takes itself seriously, but I don't think it really takes itself serious like the author does. But she's also got a lot of like jives into those old slasher films. So you know, in a lot of those old films, like in Halloween and you know all the Freddy Krueger movies and stuff, that you're sitting there watching and you're like, why did they split up? That's the dumbest thing ever to do. You never split up, you know.
That's that Geico commercial where it's the hanging chainsaws and they're like, we should hide right there. And I'm like,
yes. It's all of these things that are in those movies are happening in this book, but we're taking them seriously. So it's in the a not too far away future as it's built. So Alcatraz 2.0 has been built. And apparently somebody has said, there's a lot of jibes to the president. Authors do this a lot these days. It's just the way it is. But there's also another character who is a reality TV star, and he says capital crimes are not being punished the way a capital crime should be punished. They should be more capital. And so he has decided that the Bay Bridge has been destroyed in California, and all that's left behind is this little place that used to be like a movie, a place where they film movies, and they've turned it into Alcatraz 2.0. And you're sent there when you do horrible crimes, and you're sentenced to death. And you don't know when you're going to die. This is like a little movie town. So there's like a store and this little barracks where you sleep, and everybody has a job that they have a little ID card. And if you don't go to your job, you don't get any money put on it so that you can't go to the bodega and buy any food. It's like a little small town, except there are serial killers who are actually set loose in the town, and they take you. You never know when you're going to be taken, kind of like The Purge, and they take you to their kill room. And they have these horribly gruesome ways that they kill you. And all of it, here's the kicker, all of it is on an app. And they all are what is called the Postman app. And the app is you go in and you can watch it. And it's streamed live on the app constantly. It's called Alcatraz 2.0. So our main character gets sent there for killing her sister, which she did not do. And you know how everybody in prison is innocent, right? Well, everybody's saying they're innocent. She can't figure out why nobody's admitting that they've done anything wrong. And these people are really kind of nice. But as soon as she gets there, she's thrown into a kill room, and that's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to get a few days to get acclimated first. And she ends up in the very first chapter accidentally killing the killer who was in there to get her. And all of a sudden the lights go up and a door opens in the wall, and this guy walks in and goes, "Oh, great. Now you've gone and done it. Now everybody's going to want to kill you." And she's like, "What is happening?" Well, she's at Alcatraz 2.0, and something has happened in her past that has caused a lot of things in her present to be really crazy in her brain, some traumatic event that happened in her past. And it's kind of starting to blend with some of the things happening here at Alcatraz 2.0 because she didn't do it. And she's starting to understand nobody did it, and there's something crazy going on. And all she has to do is stay alive. And all these serial killers are out to get her.
Okay, it sounds kind of fun.
It is fun. It really is a fun book. It's not, it's scary in the sense, like, I loved The Purge. I loved it. If that's horror, I mean, that's horror. But to me, it was so creepy because it was so real. Like, it could, like there's just people who just turned overnight into killers, and then the next day they're fine. Like, to me, that's horrible. In this one, you can't get away. But it's interesting and fun to see what's going on. It's a mystery, and yeah, the whole and then there's like discussion boards after every killing. The discussion boards open, and the reader sees a rundown of all the things that are being said. So that's our only indication of what's happening in the real world that they don't know about, because we can see what they're saying and about the Department of Justice knows about this, what is happening, and all this stuff that we know but nobody else does.
I'm looking at one of the other books she wrote. I just came across 10 here recently. It sounded really good, but I don't remember anything about it.
That one actually won some kind of big award.
Yeah, 10 was rated really high. I almost read that one this week.
And it was written in like 2011, or it was written a while back, but it's the same idea where they're on this island and they have 3 days and they have to get off. And I think only one can or something. Yeah. So same kind of concept. And then Get Even, I've not read, but if you see real tiny right above the girl's pictures, it says, "Don't get mad, get even." So they say it's kind of like a dark and twisted Pretty Little Liars, because they're out to get all the bullies from their lives. And then 2 and 20 Dark Tales, I have that in the library and I haven't read it, but it's dark retellings of Mother Goose rhymes. That kind of sounds fun.
That reminds me of a bad experience in childhood. I won't be reading that one.
What did you say?
I had this really terrifying experience when I was at a friend's house. I was probably like 6 or so, and she had an older brother, and he came in and terrified us with this horrible Mother Goose story. It will forever haunt me. I hate you, Brandon. Like, I won't be reading that one.
Was it a real Mother Goose story, or did you make it up?
She had this, it was a stuffed Mother Goose, but it had a cassette player built in because it told stories. Yes, I know what a cassette player is. I had them. Thank you. They would just tell stories, but you made up this story that somebody else had the same toy, and it came and like ate their stomach out in the middle of the night or something. I don't know. I was terrified.
Dolls are evil. Do not have dolls. They're evil. All of them.
The talking ones are the worst, and he made it talk.
He did, because then we went and got our crayons and coloring stuff when we came back in the room. Well, we didn't know he and his friend had hid under the bed, and all of a sudden we hear, "I'm Mother Goose!" And so we threw everything in the air and ran.
That's horrible. How old were you?
I don't know, like 5 or 6. It was terrible.
I hope they got punished. That's mean.
Oh.
I think every kid needs to be scared just a little. Like, it just keeps life a little on the edge. Like, you're a little hesitant, so it's good.
I had Stephen King. You had the Mother Goose.
That's pathetic now, but seriously, it was terrifying then.
If we had time, I'd share my real ghost stories with y'all, but we don't have time for that.
Ooh, maybe we can make time.
Yeah.
All right, Misty, you're up.
All right, so if you liked Dread Nation, and it's not, okay, I'm just saying Dread Nation for zombies, and then a really strong female character, you're going to like Devils into Dust. So Devils into Dust is similar. Like, I don't think they call them zombies, But there's a sickness that drives people crazy and they die and they come back. So essentially they're zombies. But this is like Western. So it's like zombies meet Western and strong female character. And she's trying to keep her family alive and she has to hire. So like what happens is that it's like zombies. And her dad is like, after the mom died and turned into one, like her dad is just drinking, gambling, everything. And he, at the beginning of the book, steals money from a very famous zombie hunter. And so in order pretty much to not die, she has to chase her dad across the desert to get the money back and to make everything right. And of course, you don't do that. Like you stay in the safety of towns that have been built up with walls and people with guns and everything like that. So I just like that, like on Dread Nation, she is just like hardcore protecting her family, you know, just really like, I don't want to say girl power because I didn't feel like a feminist vibe, but it's definitely like Unforgiven, like old Westerns plus zombies and like a dystopian feel for now. And it's really good. And then the humor between the characters, and then just, it was a really good book, very adventurous. Like you don't know what's going to happen from 1 minute to the next. So you're definitely on your seat, but it's really worth the read. And it's not like, I didn't feel like it was overly gruesome, but it was just a really good on the edge of your seat kind of story, kind of like I felt Dread Nation was. Dread Nation didn't go into like blood and gore and guts and blah and describing the entrails falling out, you know, like some horror, if they really wanted to make it horrific, they could have. No, but it was really like Western meets, you know, dystopian zombie hunting. And so I really liked it.
Kind of makes me think of sports.
Like I said, it's not super horrific, but it's just, it was a really, really good book. Like I finished it in a day. I liked it that much.
Well, two things. One, you mentioned Dread Nation. I'm reading a short story collection, shocker, about it's called Three Sides of a Heart. It's stories of love triangles, but they're not really love triangles because one of them is written by Justina Ireland, who wrote Dread Nation, and she writes it in the Dread Nation world. And so it's another. It's a really good one. So there's that. Second thing, your book that you just talked about. I read your little blurb on it when I was looking to see what we're all going to talk about this week. And I saw it and I was like, oh, I want to read it because it takes place in Texas. I love books that take place in Texas. And so then I looked at the author, and she was born and raised in Texas, but now she lives in like New Zealand or some like way over there. Yeah. But so and then thirdly, I checked it out. So sorry, everyone.
I bought it. I liked it that much that I went on Kindle and I got it. So
I think I had to get it from the Fort Worth Public Library, but it's in my Sora now. So maybe when I'm done, y'all can read it too. Who knows? Can't beat zombies. If it says zombies, I want to read it.
Yeah, I like the zombies in Texas. Like you said, I'm glad you said that. But yeah, and I haven't read the other book. I'm sorry.
I think it's her newest one, and I haven't read much about it. It was the only other one out there by her, so I just went ahead and put it on here. But I know nothing about it.
Zombies.
All right, now we have The Bray.
Yeah, zombies are okay, but this one was definitely more up my alley. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed reading this book, even though it felt very blasphemous. But I'll get into that. I felt a little guilty reading it, honestly, but at the same time, I loved it. So this one is set in 1926 in Manhattan, New York. So our main character, Evie, she is a flapper. They just, they talk a little bit about the fashion. She'll throw in some lyrics here and there that the main character is just kind of singing under her breath as she's doing this or that. So now all in my head, I've got like all the lingo and the New York accent going. Everything I'm hearing, what they say all the time, I'm on the trolley, or everything's Jake, and just stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I love it. I love this time period. It's super fun. So Evie is from a small town in Ohio, and she has this power that she can pick up an object and tell you. It'll tell her secrets about whoever owns that object, and she kind of uses it as a party trick when she's out at her speakeasies and stuff with her friends. But she uncovers something about a town golden boy that gets her into trouble, and her parents send her to live with her uncle in New York. And she's secretly like, oh, I'm going to Manhattan. I'm super excited. But she's like, oh, okay, fine, I'll go. Because if her parents knew that she was excited about it, they wouldn't send her. It's not a punishment. So she goes and lives with her uncle who owns this museum of the supernatural in New York. And everybody around there calls it the Creepy Crawly Museum. And we find a lot out about her uncle and her uncle Will. He has an assistant, Jericho, who her friend who lives in the same building has this huge crush on. And there's several characters. There's very different points of view, and they're all people throughout the city. Excuse me. And so they all have very different views into what's going on in the city. But it is, Carrie, you wouldn't, have you read this one? Okay, this one sounds like one of the ones that you were like, no, I can't read that. It is super deep rooted evil.
I didn't get the deep. I did get this one. I read it, and you're right. It was a little evil, but I loved this. I loved her so much. I kept reading.
Okay, well, it gives more story. I think there's enough story and character development and other people's points of view that it helps with that. But it is. So 50 years ago, the beast is coming back and he's risen from the dead, and he is quoting off some crazy scripture, and it goes around the Pillars of Fire Church. And if you know anything about that, it is, they had strong ties with the KKK, and so it's just some really big evil, and it has come back to play 50 years later when the comet is coming through and the worlds are very close to each other, and there's a lot going on in this book. But I absolutely loved the environment that they're in, and Libra Bray gives you just a little bit of everything. There is sarcasm, there is wit, there is charm, there's a little bit of romance, there is a ton of horror. It is gruesome horror because, I mean, this guy is taking hands and mouths and skin, and it's disgusting, and it's creepy, and I loved every bit of it. Every bit of it. And now I just keep looking at my daughter going, what you need, dog face? What you need, dog face? I can't help it. It's in my head. I had so much fun with it, though. I'm definitely going to finish that series.
Well, you said it's creepy and gory and stuff, and it reminded me that I forgot to say for Murder Trending, high school, not middle school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty explicit, but yeah, definitely high school.
Yeah.
Have you read?
Like
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
I said I have them in high school and they really like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know how many of you, I know that Audrey has read A Great and Terrible Beauty, and she has already gone like deep sighs over it. Audrey, you want to give a real quick rundown about that one? Because that one's pretty good too.
Oh my gosh, y'all. Great and Terrible Beauty. It's set in England, Victorian England. Oh, and my 5-year-olds can help too. At an all-girls school. She has not read Great and Terrible Beauty, I have to tell you right now. It's a trilogy, and the main character, Gemma, comes from a long line of these women who have this ability to be able to kind of connect to this other realm, where of course this dark supernatural force is threatening all realms. It's lovely. It's got this great trio of like mismatched girls who are just like rock star in their own right. And of course the love interest comes in more towards book 2. You need to go read it. And look at the cover. I mean, who doesn't love a girl in a corset? So
I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Thank you, Audrey.
I read this one a long time ago, and yeah, it's a dense read. It's not a quick one, but it is really, really good. And then that book down there is called Zombies versus Unicorns. Have y'all heard of this, girls? So the deal is, I forget who the main writer was because I don't have it in front of me, but an author. She believes that zombies are better, and another author believed that unicorns are better, and they threw it out to their author friends to vote, like, what's better, zombies or unicorns? And they all have written in this book it's kind of like team zombie, team unicorn, and they write little stories to talk about how amazing zombies are and not how unicorns are amazing. And then the other one writes all these amazing unicorn stories. So it's very tongue-in-cheek and hilarious. And Lauren, do you know about Beauty Queens?
Hilarious. Gee, Carrie, why do you ask? Yes, I know. I don't know much about the story itself, but I do know there has been a little controversy out of it.
Well, the controversy isn't really what's on the inside because
So it's just a cover.
it's just about beauty queens who are trapped on an island, kind of like like the series Lost. And it is snarkalicious. I mean, it is hilarious. It is pure liber bray. And they are just mean to each other and they're fighting for survival, but they're just ditzy. And it is hilarious. I do know that much.
All right, so it looks like Brent wants to know if there is a job where you get paid to write book reviews.
Well, let me tell you, Brent, I've been looking for that job, and even the ones in the school library journal and stuff that people read are all people who just write in and hope to see their name in print, and that's their payment for the most part.
Well, or you can write for a publisher. So like if you go to school for that and you are like creative writing or whatever, you know, degrees you get to work as an editor and that whole, you know, area, that could be something that you do, because like Epic Reads and Fierce Reads, I mean, they get paid a whole lot of money. Well, maybe not a whole lot, but I mean, I'd be okay getting paid in books.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you can also, there is a, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the company. They send out ARCs and whether it be in digital format or not, to people who ask for them. A lot of times they're librarians, and you read them on the understanding that you will provide an honest review.
Mhm.
So you can look for some companies that do that.
I do that for NetGalley.
Is
And
that
there's
the one
one
I
that
did?
starts with an E, something view.
It may have been NetGalley that I did. One of the YakFest authors sent me one and asked for a review. I think it was NetGalley.
Brenda's decided to be the president of Penguin Publishers. I think
Brent, I am going to come work for you, so please remember me. Remember me. No, I'm just kidding.
that's
Let's bring in some Dia de los Muertos
Yeah.
and book talk.
Did we talk about all of our books?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my gosh, my ghost story. Okay, this really happened, people. So you have to believe it. Like it really legit happened. So when I was a kid, I lived with my grandmother. And my grandmother always talked about like ghosts, like it was just like nothing. Like, yeah, ghosts, this and that and that. And I was just like, whatever, grandma. And so we moved around all the time. Like we moved, honestly, I always joked like every odd year we moved. So like first grade we moved, third grade we moved, fifth grade we moved. So we moved to this small town, and like you move to small towns, everybody already has a house. So it was just this old house. It was on this patch of land. It was tiny, and like the living room, you could see the kitchen, whatever. So I'm sitting in the living room, and my grandma is at the island in the kitchen baking. And so she has her, and guys, this is the middle of Texas. There are no earthquakes. So whatever you're going to kind of say, oh, it was just an earthquake. It wasn't. Okay. So she had her spices along the wall side, and then the other side was like the stove and whatever. So she's baking pies or whatever she's doing. Kid you not, like I'm staring at her, we're talking, who knows, probably arguing, I don't know, I was a teenager, maybe, who knows. So I'm talking to her, and from the wall of the spices, it flew and ricocheted off the other wall. It's not like it just fell. Like it flew and ricocheted off the other side of the kitchen wall. Like from then on, and then weird stuff like a skunk died under our house, and just weird things kept happening. And for some reason, I hated taking there was only one bathroom in this tiny little house. And I just, taking a shower, you were always freezing in there. So like now that my brain started thinking about it, maybe the bathroom was like where it happened. I don't even know. But anyway, the ghost did not want us in that house. And we actually didn't stay there very long because it was just things like that kept happening and whatever. So that is my real ghost story, and it really happened. So believe in ghosts.
We're just trying to help cook. They were like, use this spice.
I don't know, but I like to know, like, if I ever build a house, I'm gonna be like, okay, is this an Indian burial ground? Did y'all move coffins to build this development? Like, could anyone have died? Like, please let me know. Cause Poltergeist, I mean, I just grew up loving horror movies, and I'm like cursed now.
Okay, all-time favorite horror movie.
The Shining.
Shining.
Ooh.
I hate being scared. I hate horror movies. I can read them all day long. I can't watch them. That's not me.
Oh, or there was one book, the Red, it was something about a house that pretty much took people. Like that one actually creeped me out.
I don't know about mine. Like I said, mine isn't so much like Shining that was good, but I watched it when I was young and I didn't really understand why it was scary because I didn't get, all the intricacies of it. It's scarier now as an adult. But like as an adult, something scary to me is like those thrillers that like, well, the scary is something is about to jump out at me.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming and I can't, and I don't, and I wait, yeah, I don't know, I can't. And so a couple of my favorite scary ones, this is The Quiet Place.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I don't like
so
to be
quiet. I knew something was coming all the time. But that was a good one. And then I watched The Haunting of Hill House by myself because my husband doesn't like that kind of stuff and my kids are gone. So there is one scene in The Haunting of Hill House. I'm not going to say what happens, but I'm just going to say they're in a car and they were arguing. And so I'm thinking to myself, I can watch this. I don't have to like avert my eyes and wait for the music to go da da da, and then I can look up because they're just arguing and it's kind of funny. Their arguing is going back and forth. So I'm watching it and I'm really into it. And then something happens and my computer was on my lap and then it wasn't because I was like, I mean, I think my husband actually came downstairs. Oh my God, are you okay? I was like, they jumped right out. I'm traumatized. And then my son watched it and afterwards, and I said, all right, there's a scene. It's like episode 4. I don't even know what it was. I said, you call me because you're going to be scared. He's like, oh, I'm not, Mom. He called me. His wife told me later that she thought she saw a tear in his eye.
No, actually, as an adult anymore, and maybe it's because I have children, I cannot do anything with possession. Like after I think the last possession movie I watched was The Haunting of Emily Rose or The Possession of Emily Rose or whatever. And I can't. I realized at that movie, I was like, anything that has to do with possession, I just can't. And I won't. Like, I'm going to think about it forever. And I'm going to lay in bed at night just thinking about it. So I need to not.
Well, in The Haunting of Hill House, I was really afraid that that's what it was going to be like. And then the more I got into it, I was like, please don't go there. Please don't go there. And I'll tell you at the end, that last episode made me cry. It was so sweet. So it had a good ending.
Did you ever see that movie, What Lies Beneath, with Harrison Ford?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I can handle. Like that.
You didn't know if the ghost was evil or if the ghost was helping her. Like you never knew.
But that was the one in the Catacombs of Paris, right?
No. He was a teacher at like a college or something like that. And there's a girl that was haunting his wife.
It was his mistress.
Don't ruin the movie.
Spoiler, God.
Sorry. Well, I think you found out early on, though. Whatever.
What about The Invisible Man? Did y'all see that? The one with the chick from Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, but that didn't bother me.
It's sci-fi.
Yeah, it's more sci-fi.
But it has that jump out and scare you factor.
Yeah, but like Netflix, I think it's Netflix, or maybe it was Hulu, had a show called Penny Dreadful, and it was almost like recreating all the old like Frankenstein, all those kind of classic horrors. And to me, even though things jumped out at you and it was kind of creepy, it wasn't terrifying. I enjoyed it more as like almost like watching my classics come to life again. But it was creepy, but not creepy enough, I guess.
Okay, so Brent says Miss Shay should write a novel about your ghost story, and Kara recommends
Rose Red. That's what it was.
Rose Red. Next week is going to be a little different, you guys.
I'm going to be out of town, so I'm sure I have Wi-Fi where I'm going to Colorado, but it's in the mountains, and who knows how reliable the Wi-Fi will be. So I will be going on mountain tours and ATVs and hikes through the beautifulness. And Mr. Thorne, Jonathan Thorne, will be here to take my place for the week. And if you don't know Mr. Thorne, you are in for a treat.
And I think I'm gonna not bully. Hold on. I'm going to like really heavily suggest he dresses up because oh my gosh, like I love his clothes. I can't even explain. Like his wife hates them and I love them even more. Like it is just, he dresses the craziest ever. Like I just love it. So I hope he purposely wears something interesting.
He will. There's a line when you dress to be a man librarian, and he crosses it.
Librarian. And we're gonna let Mr. Thorne, we're gonna let Jonathan choose the theme for next week, so it's a surprise.
And it won't be sci-fi because that would make me so sad.
But we'll try to post it on Twitter and Facebook so you kind of know what's going ahead of time. So you know what to look forward to. And I need to read.
Said that she put the link to the playlist with all of our episodes in the chat. So that.
Yeah, if you, I mean, my TBR, even from these two ladies, just keeps growing and growing. And then like the minute Miss Harris told us about Good Girls Guide to Murder, I read it and I loved it. So I mean, just things like that. I love.
And now you got to read the second one. The second one's out, so you got to read that one.
Yeah,
Oh, it is. It's out. Hey, Brent says that if y'all can't do it, he will fill in for anybody.
You know what? We were talking about having one with students. So you are definitely on the top of my list now.
As long as you don't have to work instead of watching us, because I don't know about that.
Geez, who needs money to buy books? Never mind.
Me. Okay, I guess that's it. So we will see. I won't see y'all next week. I might try to watch a little bit of it
on YouTube.
Maybe I'll jump into the chat and see how it's going.
And I challenge you to bring 2 friends with you next week. And I will try to get a bunch of books to give away. So let's see how many people we can get. The more people that we have, the more books I will give away. And like I have a lot to give away. So
hey, that's incentive right there.
Are you giving away Supernova back there? Girl.
No. Okay. That's a signed copy that is from one of my Battle of the Books, and NTTBF was the weekend before spring break and we never went back. And so I am a rule follower. So when they say not to drop off at our students' houses, I don't. However, now that everything, and I have a mask and it has things, I might go put it in her mailbox, but then it's a signed book copy. I don't want to put it in her mailbox. Like it's a hardback. So I don't know. I might get her like parent permission and go give it to her. But I'm like coveting it because it's not mine.
I have mine. I do have a signed one, so I'm keeping it. That's mine.
I have a signed copy of Heartless. That's what I went for. So.
And I have a signed copy of Truly Devious from that same day.
Oh, I do like that one too. Okay, anyway, sorry. Dive. We.
Okay, bye.